If the building that your kids are occupying when they go back to school hasn't consulted with someone like her, I wouldn't let my kid go there. Hello again and welcome to this edition of Ask the Doctor. As part of our Wise Medical Minute, I'm going to address the most interesting question I get each week with a response in this manner. The question this week comes from Cherokee County. They wanted to know, is it safe to send my kid back to school? Cherokee County has been in the news subsequent to me receiving this question. So I think it's been addressed already, but I think it's a good opportunity to talk about not only returning to school, but in any places where we have to group together, even offices where we do clerical work, medical offices. There are basic guidelines, well established, and recommendations by multiple entities that can tell you whether it's safe to occupy a place of business or a school or whatever. And I want to take this opportunity to put out a shout out to Rachel Dumas, who established a company called Onward Healthcare Solutions. And I always like to applaud young people when they do good things, because so often I see that if it can't be done with a keyboard or a mouse, these young adults these days can't do it. But she's come up with a nice program to identify all of the things that people need to do to be as safe as is possible from this COVID-19 virus. Now, she is a registered nurse. She happens to be an ICU nurse with a lot of experience taking care of COVID-19 patients. She went up to New York in the peak of the pandemic up there, and she decided to create a company to help people know when and what they need to be doing to respond to this pandemic. So she has checklists from multiple entities. She helps people develop policies and procedures. And if the building that your kids are occupying when they go back to school hasn't consulted with someone like her, I wouldn't let my kid go there, okay? But someone who knows more than me about infection control needs to have scrutinized the place and given the authorities recommendations. And once that's been done, it is as safe as it can be, and we have to get on with our lives. If the school authorities have not addressed those basic concerns, not just from the CDC and OSHA and people like that, but some basic things from a scientific and medical basis that will allow us to be as comfortable as we can be with returning to a certain setting. Now, the individual things you can do yourself will make sure your kid's going to wear a mask, make sure your kid understands the concept of social distancing, hand washing, hand sanitizers, all that stuff we've talked about in multiple videos is very important. Emphasize it and explain it to your kid till they get sick of hearing you say it. But all those things are important, and yes, we do need to get on with our lives, but we have to have some common sense about it. Thank you for your attention, and I hope you'll tune in to next week's Ask the Doctor. If you have questions or suggestions, send me an email, info@wisemedicalcenter.com, and we'll include your question in next week's recording. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for listening to the Wise Medical Minute with Dr. Thomas Locke. Dr. Locke addresses current events as well as important medical issues using responsible, unbiased journalism approached from a medical perspective. We invite you to submit questions or comments or suggestions for future topics by email to info@wisemedicalcenter.com. Again, thank you for viewing the Wise Medical Minute.